And now we got to talk about a game that as a Vikings fan, I've learned to temper expectations. I have learned that things can be good and things can also be really bad. And so just looking at this, I mean, the Vikings somehow get a win against the Atlanta Falcons. Excuse me. I was going to say Arizona Cardinals because Josh Dobbs just came from there, but Josh Dobbs played nails, especially down the drive. When you start out with you start out the game with you literally have, I'm blanking off the top of my, Jaron Hall goes 5 of 6 for 78 yards. He looks good. And that second drive, he gets a concussion, and then in comes Josh Dobbs. And it was very worrisome at that moment because I'm like, oh, great, here we go. Because, we lost Kirk Cousins last week. Now we lost Jaron Hall. Now this guy got here 5 days ago, and he's going to have to go in and facilitate something.
He did work till like 9:30 on Friday night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like,
he's putting in the extra hours.
I'm like, come on. And I think, but I do have to say, the guy, yes, it was a little rough at times, did lose a couple of fumbles early on and allowed one that had a safety, but to finish 20 of 30 for 158 yards, had 2 touchdowns through the air, one to Alexander Madison and one to Brandon Powell for the win there, and then also ran in a touchdown. He gives this Vikings offense something that it hasn't had all season. It gives
hasn't had for a long time.
Like an agile quarterback that keeps defenses honest.
Like Cunningham, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. Culpepper. It's been a while since I've had a quarterback that legitimately was a running threat. Teddy Bridgewater and them could run when they had to, but this is one of those guys that you can build an offense around to make it a threat. Do read option, do all that different things, and keep the defense honest.
I think you're overreacting to the Josh Dobbs thing.
I think this feels a lot like Will Levis. I'm happy. I'm just happy today. That's all I gotta say.
No, it's really cool for Dobbs to be able to get on a team that isn't trying to tank to take your position. I think this is going to be really good for Minnesota. I think Dobbs is a very talented quarterback. I was looking forward to seeing Hall.
Yeah,
I really was. And when he first started, I was like, oh, this could be fun.
Yeah, you could have something here.
But good for Josh Dobbs. I think he's in a really good situation.
Yep.
But yeah, I just
getting Justin Jefferson back next week.
Excited.
I'm just saying that if he can play like this and the defense can play like
Falcons.
The Falcons defense is actually top 10 in the NFL. So
yeah, okay, but
but also not good. Taylor Heineke.
That's what worries me is the Falcons offense put 28 up.
Yeah,
and for some reason,
but you got to consider. So
they won't give the ball to Robinson.
I know it's driving me up a wall. How do you not give it to Bijan?
Just trade him. Trade him and just. Trade him in Pitts.
Here's the thing about how the defense looked to me. I feel like you had multiple drives inside the 20 for the Falcons, and I think there was, I want to say 4 or 5 drives, and they only came away with, I think, 1 touchdown, and that was in the second half. And so the defense, they had 2 fumbles by Josh Dobbs that had them in plus territory, like inside the red zone. The defense shut them down, and they had to kick field goals in those. That's huge. Obviously in those spots, it's really about damage control. So the defense stepped up huge in that spot. But the second half, you have that screen pass that goes, 60 yards to Jonnu Smith, your man. Who had 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. You had that last drive at the end of the game where they drove the entire length of the field, and they scored a touchdown there with 2 minutes left. And the defensive in the second half to me was a little worrisome. So I do think that you got to button those things up, especially if you're going to be contenders. But overall, you got to give the love to Josh Dobbs after being on a team like the Cardinals last week and literally not knowing his teammates' names in Minnesota and going out and getting a win.
Yeah, and you're going into a Minnesota where you have Addison.
Yeah.
But your main guy, Jefferson, is sitting on the bench too. Yeah. So he hasn't even been able to put in the work with the guy yet. And I think Addison's going to become the guy.
Yeah.
But I think once Dobbs kind of gets to working with him, it might be. I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm not. They're not going to be world beaters. They're gonna. They're not going to win their division. The Lions have that pretty much.
Yeah, Lions are tough.
But good for Jonnu. I do want to say that he got out of New England, then all of a sudden he decided to start playing.
Yes,
I don't get it.
He's got wheels.
That's why we. Yes, that's why New England wanted him for these reasons.
You're losing it right now.
I'm about ready to. It drives me nuts.
When I saw that, I saw him get out in the screen pass, and I saw him hit that second gear. I was like, oh my.
Yeah,
this is not good because
Cameron end around with him.
Yeah, And then Cameron Bynum had a clear shot at him, our safety, and our safety couldn't catch him. I'm like, this is not good.
Well, I mean, and if you shoulder up with him, he's a big guy.
Yeah, too. So it is a mismatch. It almost is like, it reminds me a lot of.
It is.
Yeah, it's like, to sore subject.
Yes.
Sorry. But defensively for the Vikings, Jordan Hicks led the way with 11 tackles and a sack. Daniil Hunter had another tackle for loss. Byron Murphy Jr. also had a turnover. As far as the Falcons, Taylor Heineke, to me, gives this team another element that it didn't have with Desmond Ridder. He's capable. He's solid. But is he a guy that can legitimately lead your team beyond, especially with a top 10 defense?
He's not.
It was rough, especially you gave Bijan the ball only 11 times in the running game. And then, yes, he did catch a couple of passes, but overall, 59 total yards for Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier, I mean, you had a touchdown. I thank you for my fantasy team. But other than that, I mean,
I don't know what the identity of the Falcons is. It's so week to week that, and it's not like it's sneaky because it's never good. Yeah. It's just, we're going to pound the ball. We're going to run the ball. And then we're going to throw the ball 50 times. Yeah. And it doesn't. And the thing is the game's not dictating that. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the Falcons because this should be on paper. This should be a great team. Yeah. But it's just
not gelling well. Yeah. But I think, okay, if you have a top 10 quarterback on this team for the Falcons right now, this is a scary team.
Maybe.
I feel maybe. I mean, you're going to tell me that
I think you seriously need to look at the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. I think there will be some coaches that are going to become available. Hopefully Bill Belichick. Yeah. But no, I think that's what you need. You need that stability, and you need somebody to walk in and go, "Hey, this is a game plan," or bring in somebody like a McDaniels to run your offense, and that's going to be your offensive identity. Because right now, I don't think your offensive coach has an identity. Yeah, and that with these weapons, it
how do you not have an identity?
Yeah, it should be really clear. Get the ball to Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, and Robinson.
Yeah. It's really not that hard. I don't think it should be that hard. I mean, your defense, to me, you forced a couple of turnovers.
Yeah, their defense doesn't look bad.
No, their defense was really good. I mean, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 sacks on the day. You got a couple of turnovers. You cannot ask this defense to do anymore.
No, 4 sacks on a mobile quarterback
is very good.
And I mean, he was running for his life in Arizona, so that isn't new to him.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like you got to be happy with the defensive performance. I know the whole drive at the end there is not exactly great, but at the end of the day, they did their jobs. Like for the most part. Like they did their jobs. The offense is lagging in a couple of ways, and I think Taylor Heineke, I think he can be a good serviceable quarterback, but I think you need a little bit more of a shot in the arm if you ask me.